Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. And guess what? Tonight we have a meeting with the Bobs. I'm Bob Lung. That's Bob Harris. You know him. He's, of course, Mr. at Football Diehard on Twitter, but he's also Mr. Football Guys. And he's been there for quite a while. And I can't tell you how happy it's been because it's one of my favorite sites anyway. And so now I get to read Bob Harris and Football Guys to combine. So, Bob Harris, thank you for coming. Always honored to have you. Always privileged to have you here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Your good fortune is also my good fortune. I'm super happy to be at Football Guys. This is my second season, and it's going well. And it's a joy to have a platform. Given the circumstances weren't great that I had to make a change. But if I had to make a change, it was super fortunate to have made that change.
Yes, and you got your shirt on with pride as you should with Black Eyed Joe.
Got the black eye go on there.
My wife always she doesn't know a lot about football, but every time she sees that, she goes, "Oh, that's the Football Guys logo, isn't it?" Now, I don't think she would even recognize my logo.
So I'll take you back. The genesis of this is David Dodds and I, one of the co-founders, along with Joe Bryant, who's still there, and I, back in the mid '90s,
Okay,
we got together. We did a lot of things in the computer world, like early on, as we tried to gain our legs and figure out this brave new world of internet technology.
right.
And part of that was there were lots of really cool little fonts out there, and one of them was called Dingbats, and this is a
Yep.
piece of the Dingbat font family. And there were a number of them that he used back then, but that's kind of the genesis of it, was using some of these weird fonts. And we were out there like looking at all kinds of technology, making
That's
little
funny.
JavaScript things.
I do remember the Dingbat fonts, but I guess I
Yep.
didn't realize there was a Black Eyed Joe within.
There was a whole font family of this. This is one of the
Oh,
keys.
okay. So
Yeah, there are a whole series of these faces or similar faces. This just happened to be the one that's most representative.
yeah, no, like I said, it cracks me up that my wife, who doesn't care much about football at all, but she knows that logo, man. We got the box of the stickers to put into the swag bags from Joe Bryant, and I opened them up and I pulled them out. She goes, "Oh, Football Guys." I go, "You remember this?" "Oh yeah, yeah, because that's Bob Harris, right?" I go, "Yeah, that's Bob Harris."
It's pretty noticeable.
So yeah, so you and Football Guys, the only two people she recognizes outside of her own husband. So there we go.
Well, unfortunately, I recognize her as well, and it's always great to see her at the front
Yes.
desk as I enter the expo proper, and check in to get my swag bag and all the goodies and
Yeah.
all those things. So, what am I doing? Am I going to Embassy Suites for that again this year? What's the process?
Well, I think I still have a link for you if you want to be double. Embassy Suites is
Oh
back in the
no,
swing.
no, I'm already at Holiday Inn. I'm wondering the
Oh,
check-in for the actual expo, Bob. I'm
yes, the
taking
expo
care of
is.
all
I'm
my
sorry, the
business, sir.
expo is at the DoubleTree. But you can also always go to Embassy Suites because Keith is now the bartender. So there we
Oh,
go.
there you go. Fair
Bob, thank you again for being a part of this. You have been there from day one. There's not a lot of people who are the OGs of the Midwest Fantasy Football Expo. You, Jorge, there's a few others that still fall into play. But take people back. Tell them about that first expo, what your thoughts were, how it went. What did you expect after the fact? I mean, it was quite an interesting event for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think like all things that I take part in, I expect a miserable failure, and so here we are at the community center. There was a great gathering though of the fantasy people. To
Hmm.
start out, we had some draft little festivities before.
Hmm.
It was like in a community center type setting,
Yeah,
like a little local community
it was a
center,
cultural center.
right?
Yeah,
Cultural center, and there were a lot of fantasy people there, and I thought, wow, this isn't bad. And by the way, we were already there for the
Kings
Kings
Classic.
Classic, which we'd
Right.
been going to for a couple of years leading up to that. And so it was like, hell yeah, we'll do another thing. And it was like not as an enterprise as it is now. But there was a
Sure.
lot of activities, and we had a big hall, and everyone was set up there. A lot of the podcasters were doing their thing right there, and it turned out, it seemed like to me a lot of people showed up more than I expected. And I can remember being on numerous panels, and at the panel at the end of the day, I could see Bob. Bob's breaking down. Bob is thinking this went better than I thought, and so and it had. gone better than you thought. It got better than I thought. And so I thought that first one showed a lot of promise. I don't know that it showed so much promise that I expected it to get where it is now. But it did. And it seemed like it was like it pretty much hit stride year 2. Right? Like year
Well,
1 was kind of like the, hey, let's see if this can even be a thing. And then once you
right.
decided it could be a thing, it kind of took a big step forward.
Well, it did, but the problem was there was this year called 2020, which we
Right.
know as the COVID year, that didn't allow it to happen. And
Right.
to be honest with you, I thought it was dead. I thought nobody's going to get together in public anymore. Everybody is all, got diseases and stuff, and nobody's going to go outside. But if anything, if I can say something good happened from the COVID, was the fact that it kept people inside for 14 months. And then when I decided, okay, well, the vaccinations are coming, like I guess we could do this expo in August, should be good. It's like everybody just ran out of their house, jumped in their cars, and they all drove because we went from 75 attendees to 550.
There was some pent up, I got to get out of here going on from the
Yeah.
entire world, right?
We
So
don't care if there's going to be a super spreader or not. We just want to get out. But yeah. And, now we've been kind of hovering that 750 range, probably hit that again this year. But I'm okay with that. I know it's like the last few years, there's been a lot of new people, new companies, new ideas, so exhibitors are bringing in new apps, games, just unique stuff. And we meet them at FSGA. They're usually doing the exhibitor pitches, what do they call those? Yeah, pitches and elevator pitches. That was the word I was looking for. And then we kind of like, okay, you've done this business to business. Now bring it to the consumers, bring it to the people who are going to use it. And it's been a lot of success of that as well. Bob, just I guess from that now, talk about here we are. We're heading into this 2025 year. What are some of the things that you've seen that just kind of stand out in your mind of things that happened, things that you saw that were things that you maybe didn't think was going to happen or was going to see outside of playing wiffle ball in the streets at 2:00 in the morning with Eric Froton?
and Eric Froton destroying the lobby of the DoubleTree with a rousing karaoke performance, maybe of all times, the most epic of all times.
Yes.
And also Gary Davenport doing Metallica is something you have to see. And Scott Engel, the King. I think the karaoke may be the thing that has changed my life the most. But no, I think just in general, the parties at the Centennial Park, I think is just a super cool way to start things off and a really good time. I think the times that it's been in the Tom Benson Stadium, like the year the Kings Classic draft was up at the upper level of that, and then followed by the party, just a really cool kind of vibe. I know we're moving out of the stadium this year. Food, people. We want food.
Right.
But I think, I think some of those things, like just the moving of the whole thing to, like the Kings Classic, we started out in the Hall of Fame, like in the gold room, is it?
Gold Jacket Lounge,
Yeah, gold jacket lounge. And just like, that was really cool, but it was just a small kind of an intimate groups, a couple of leagues. And so expanding that out and taking it to bigger places, but just the entire thing turning into a days long event where people show up. Like for me, it's the ideal mix of content creators and audience, and you get a good amount of contact with both, and I love that part of it. That to me is the draw. I'm not a businessman. I don't, like all, FSGA is great and everything, but it doesn't have anything for me. I'm not sitting there trying to make plans and understand those things. I'm sitting there trying to work with my audience, and I'm trying to find other people who create content that I can work with on my shows and get together with and collaborate with. And the expo has turned out to be the place to do that. I've met some of the coolest people on earth at the expo in real life. And some of them, like we all know how it is. You know all these people in advance, and I make the stupid same joke to every single person. Wow, you're bigger than your avatar, right? Because that's how you know everybody is a little box on your computer. Here they are in real life. There's these multi-dimensional beings with interesting stories and all kinds of fun stuff. That's much better to get in person than it is online. And so to me, that's the win of the whole thing. Is that contact with the people. Like, I like to hear from my audience. Like, I do a lot of shows where I'm getting direct feedback, calls, comments, connections with audience members. And that's probably the important part of this, especially as we see this industry, see society evolve into a higher level of computing and things like that. That personal connection is going to be the thing that keeps us afloat. And so I like making those connections, and I've liked that all along. I think that's a big part of what made the Kings Classic for me, and then carried over to the Expo. It's been, I haven't missed any, have I?
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, other than the 2020 we had to do online,
which
like everybody
did. Which we didn't do. So it was, So if you had done it, I would have risked it.
I'm sure I would have. Yeah, we all would have. I think we all would have. We just all had masks and hazmat suits on or something like that. It'd been tough for the it would have been really rough for the auction to be like, I bet 22. What? 22.
That whole time, I felt like my life changed 0%. I felt guilty the whole time. Yeah. I've been gladly working at home since 1993. I'm thinking this does not change a lot for me. I feel bad for the rest of you.
No, I hear you. Yeah. You mentioned the Kings Classic. We started that in 2018. The whole idea was we didn't have that kind of draft live. And I always heard the Labor and the Tout Wars guys always on Sirius XM every February and March. Baseball guys were doing these drafts in New York. And then 2018, I heard them talking about that they were drafting inside the Staten Island AAA Yankees locker room. And they said they had their names on the lockers. I'm like, this is so cool. Why are we not doing this? And I think that's when I reached out to Mike Clay, because I just kind of started to know those people. And I'm like, Mike, here's my idea. What if we had a best of best draft in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? SiriusXM comes and does it. And 5 minutes later, he sends me an email that Brad Evans had sent him the week before that said, hey, Mike, we should do some kind of like national best of best big expert draft, but we need a cool place to hold it. You got any ideas? And so, boom, we put them together, and the rest, as they say, is history. We're, now going into what is our 7th year.
So it's the irony is that Brad and Mike have had a hard time getting back. Like, I don't want to, share behind the scenes stuff, but Mike Clay had some of the worst travel luck for a couple of years trying to get out of Canton, because I know that because I was with him, and I too was having the bad luck. I go to now ever since the year that my plane didn't work, and they said, well, we've got to drive a part down from Cleveland. I said, well, I'm probably flying out of Cleveland from now on, and so that's how it works now. But yeah, there's some bad luck, and of course, Brad had circumstances too. So hopefully, at some point, we can get both of them back in the fold. I think Brad may be close.
I was just going to say, so Brad is coming back this year. He's going to share a team in the snake draft with Barons, and he is going to fill in the auction draft for Andrew Cooper, who's filling in for Howard Bender, who's and so he's going to do the auction draft. So he's very excited to come back. We're excited to have Brad back because he said he was one of the originals. Mike, I'm hoping. So the other issue with Mike
schedules are tough.
Huh?
Schedules are tough for him.
Yeah, and that Monday that follows the Expo was always the start of their fantasy marathon.
Right.
So I'm hoping that
that's why the travel, getting home, was so important.
Yes, exactly. I get it. So hopefully some things will change next year, and we'll make it a little bit easier for Mike to be there. I know he'd love to be back.
Miss him.
But yeah, so we always had that. We had our first draft in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was a huge success. I remember the guys from XM were like, look, we're trending today. And so that was a big deal because they were getting so many listeners. And now I guess the only 2 live outside of New York that they do is the Super Bowl and the Expo. I mean,
yeah,
that just like
they will
touched my
be.
heart.
They will be there again, and I will be part of that. I'll be broadcasting
Of course.
live as I always do on Sunday,
Yep.
the day after the Kings Classic. I won't be obviously not doing the Kings Classic, although I have been a star of that broadcast for many years due to my inability to do auction correctly. I think the first two seasons I just made life so easy for Joe Dolan to roast somebody. It was almost like I was trying, uh, except I wasn't. But hey, redemption came. The championship in the auction league
That's right.
came. But
Yeah.
you've got, it's just a reminder of, being mindful of the room you're in and understanding the people you're playing with. I've been playing with these people for many years, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple of years I lost my head a little bit and thought I might have been the smartest guy in the room for a minute. When you get that, you end up being the stupidest person alive.
But on the other hand, you have a belt. I
I
still
do.
don't have a belt.
I do.
Last
And I
year I
was
was
close the
13 and
next
1.
year.
Yeah.
I made it to the championship the next year and missed it. It just barely lost out. Somebody had a big game that week.
Yeah. I know last year I was 13 and 1 in one division, 12 and 2 in the other division, number 1 seed in both, didn't even make it to the finals in either one.
I think we're all just trying not to get relegated at this point.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the primary goal.
And the thing is that I was tied in our relegation in whatever you call it,
in the standings.
Yes, but to go to the up of the level, the promotion was a tie between me and Doug Orth, and I said, Doug, look, I'm going to give it to you.
You took the ball. You should have. It's only right.
Yep, it is what it is. So I've been relegated. Had a chance to go, but that was okay.
By the way,
I still
to
want a
Doug.
belt.
Congrats to Doug for moving into the
Yeah,
USA
no,
Today
he
upper
had,
echelon work. He's
he had a
great.
great season too. That's for
He's
sure.
had a great off season, and happy to see him in his new position with USA Today and their newswire.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. Good for him.
I did.
Okay. Well, Doug, geez. So, Doug, if you're listening, I know you are. Congrats, man. Didn't know that. So anyway, so we had our first draft. We got to go. We all went to BW3s because that would seem to be the place to be. We took over the whole back section. There was like nobody else there, and that was just us 24. And then the next year, well, then in 21. When we had then 2019 was when we had the expo the day after. And then a bunch of people joined us there. And I think we had like 80 people in this place, just took over the whole spot. And it was a great time. And it really was that one of those things that just stick in my mind forever, because it's that point where it was like, wow, everybody is as nice as I thought they were, because a lot of people are like, well, do they have egos? Because nobody had met each other in person that often. Yeah, we do, but we just don't show it. But
it was almost like a microcosm, though, of what it's become. Like we took over that establishment, like the Expo has taken over Canton, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like Canton is now just like everybody knows we're coming. The Uber drivers are a little more prepared, and the lifts, and I mean, it just seems like everyone knows we're going to be there, except the DoubleTree people. They're moving all the tables out of the bar so we don't dance on them.
No, I know. Well, and so we're going to have to make sure we tell everybody this year. Every time that you get an Uber ride in Canton coming Expo, tell them that next year it's going to be July 24th and 26th, so that they won't be sitting twiddling their thumbs a week after Hall of Fame going, where's everybody at? So, but we'll do that. We'll make sure we make that announcement for sure. But so we did that. We had a great time. Kate and Michelle
Majuk.
Yeah, they were there. Just so many people that we've seen and had such a great time. And then it just is exploded into this thing that, again, I never dreamed it would get this big, especially this fast. But I'm just honored and blessed that it has. This year, like I said, we have quite a few people, a lot of new people coming. And I think that's great. I mean, again, getting Brad Evans to come back, he hasn't been here for a couple years. We got John Hansen drafting the Kings Classic on the online division against Jeff Mans and others. Should be a fun clash.
That guru.
Yeah. So, as people come into town this year, for all of you who are listening, Bob, let's kind of step away from Expo for a minute. I don't know. I'm sure most people know about your history, but give just a quick synopsis of where you started so many years in the late 1900s. When I was actually playing fantasy football, I remember you.
I started playing in 1986, and it took about a week for us to figure out we don't know enough. We don't know enough to do this right. All right. At least I was smart enough to figure that out. And a few years later, 1993, I turned that into I'm going to make this a business.
Right.
And although I was wildly unsuccessful at making it a business, I was pretty good at creating the content and things like that. And that led to other opportunities, mostly with Emo Cadlick, a fantasy sports publication. And over the course of the next 20 years, the our largest publisher of fantasy magazines in the nation, printing up to 1 million a year, 4 or 5 different titles every year, and had our website Football Diehards, and life was good. And we came up, got a show on Sirius XM, I think around 2010, 2011, and been on ever since there. Still am on. Emil passed away a year ago, almost just a little under a year ago, and I moved on to, we knew it was coming, and you kind of knew 2 years ago was our last year at Diehards, and that he was going to have to stop and focus on himself and his family, and that's what we did. So I moved on to Footballguys. I have a long history with them. I published Joe Bryant's first article on value-based drafting in the Fantasy Football Pro Forecast magazine in 1996. And have worked with them and helped them out, and we've kept maintained a relationship over the course of all those years. And so when Emil was looking to shut things down, let's look around to see if we could sell some of these assets, I was calling around to people, and Joe was one of the first people I called. He said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I don't really know." And he goes, "Well, let's talk." And so we talked, and now being at Footballguys is great. It's a great company. And this year we're doing a magazine. We did a magazine. You'll see it at the Expo. I mentioned I've been doing magazines.
I already pre-ordered mine.
I've been doing magazines a long time, and I feel like pretty confidently say this is the best one I've been involved with.
Nice.
So if you haven't seen it out there, you go to shop.footballguys.com, get yourself a copy, and great. Everyone knows the staff of Football Guys: Sigmund Bloom, Matt Waldman, Cecil Lammy, Adam Harstead, the whole crew there. I'm leaving people out, and I hate to do that because there's a lot of people.
Oh, there.
But it's a great group, and really happy to be part of that, and do some of the, allows me to do my writing, allows me to do some behind the scenes stuff, allows me to do some video. And of course, I'm still doing the radio show with Mike Dempsey, as we've done for many years, already back on to 5 days a week right now, from 8 to 10 Eastern time. Once the season starts, I will be on 7 days a week. And I'm sorry, I apologize in advance for
you should. I love your guys' show. Let's do it as much as I can. And it's funny because I told Joe Bryan when the first time I ever met him face to face, which I think was at the Expo, might have been FSGA, one of the two. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are, Bill." And I said, "You probably don't know this because you probably don't look at your database, but." I go, "I've been a subscriber to Footballguys for probably the last 20 plus years." He's like, "What?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Dude, you guys were the best, have always been the best at putting out top-notch stuff." I go, and they were doing it, like you said, Bob, you were part of that long before. When did they start? What was the
19? Well, this is the 25th year, basically. So it's 2000. Joe started something called cheatsheets.net. We did a lot of stuff together back then. David Dodds had started the thing, and then they kind of combined up, and it became Footballguys, and it grew quickly. And of course, that was another thing I said, I don't think that's going to work. I think the Expo is probably not going to work. I think nothing's going to work because I can't make anything work. And I project that on the rest of you who are way smarter than me about those things. And sure enough, they've risen up. Huge daily newsletter. You can get that for free. You go to footballguys.com, sign up for the daily email update. I'm part of me, Sigmund Bloom, Cecil Lammy do the news every day. Joe sends it out, tons of articles and stuff. And again, completely free and kind of nice to get in your inbox every day to help you keep up with things. So that's kind of like been their thing, over the course of years. They've really made that great connection and built a fantastic audience. Their forums are still vibrant and alive and ongoing. And now they have the Discord thing, which I'm almost figured out. I might figure out the rest of it soon.
Right.
But no, like everything, like it's just great organization, great people, bring in new people from time to time that, really feel fortunate to work with. So happy to do that. It's a big change from what I did with Emo, where it was just he and I, and we kind of, had our roles and we played them. And it was almost like we, after all those years, we knew what we were doing. Now I'm like in a regular company. And I'm going, oh, wow, this is like a whole different ball of wax. They
Right.
have an organization here. I've
And
got
you
to be
don't have to
part
do
of it.
everything then.
I don't have to do everything, but there's a lot of keeping up with the organization part of
Sure.
it
Right.
too. Like, so it's, it's been a great change. And again, I hate the circumstances, but for me,
Right.
super fortuitous, landing spot. And so grateful for them for this opportunity and a chance to work with so many great people. I mean, some of the younger people there, like I've known the older people
Touch.
there for years and years. Like Matt
Yeah.
Waldman's one of my closest friends
Right.
off the field, if you will,
Mhm.
and Sig and Cecil, Jason Wood, all those guys, like some of the young guys, Dave Kluge, Alfredo Brown,
Mhm.
Jeff Bell, and that bunch. It's just, it's a super cool bunch and very football minded.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's always been one of my favorite sites. I will continue to subscribe it until basically I move on as well.
You
But
and me both.
yeah, always loved it. Always appreciated everything they do. Yeah, so and the other important part of the whole football is that Joe Bryant is one of our my biggest supporters when it comes to. I mean, you're certainly top of the list as well, and just the love and support that you give to me to help this thing continue to be a part of this community. But Joe's right there. They always are the lanyard sponsor. They always have the corner. I call it the corner office, but they get the corner booth so
Poker
they can,
game.
yeah, so they can have their things. They do the poker tournament for charity every year. They're just huge, and I can't say thank you enough to Joe and everybody on that staff for everything they've done to be a big part of this. And I deeply appreciate that. Um, what was I was going to talk about? So what we just kind of talked. So I mentioned charity with the poker tournament. We do that. Well, the other thing that we did also was made sure that there was a charity portion to the Kings Classic.
Correct.
Half of the league fees goes to a charity that we usually choose. The sad part is it's usually a charity that has to happen because something went awry in the community.
Yes.
This year, it's Mr.
Anthony.
Servino, his passing. There was Rob Tuzette's 2 back-to-back years of terrible news. One year we gave it to
Evil.
Faith Enos when the hurricane wiped out her apartment. I think only once or twice have we just given it to Fantasy Cares because we didn't have one, and that
Right,
was
right.
okay.
Yes. That's the ideal outcome.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to have, but
Right.
we don't want
That's
to have to give it to families of somebody who passed away. But it's been that, and that's great that we can support that. I mean, and
yeah.
I'm always again, that's something that means a lot, and I think it means as much to everybody. It's not just me; it's the whole gang. And I mean, most of the time we don't have to vote. I just say I'm going to give the money to
Right.
the Servino family, and there's just 10,000 yeses that we're done.
Yeah.
I really don't have to do that,
There's not a lot of dissent.
but I just do it out of,
Right.
okay, guys, I don't think anybody's going to argue, but here's what we're going to do with the money. So yeah, so that again, that it's a really cool thing to be able to help. Of course, I'm always a major sponsor in the Scott Fish Bowl anyway. To back to them, for everything they do for me as well. So definitely love that. So all right. Well, Bob, I think we've talked enough about the Expo now. We all know how great it is. You'd love it. I love it. We all love it. Let's talk football.
Okay.
So here we are. We're going towards the 2025 season. Training camp just opened. Some unique things, Mr. Rice and Mr. Addison. Still don't know the days or weeks that they'll be missing. But let's talk about Rashee Rice because obviously, if it's 6 games, it's bigger than 2. But where are you on Rashee Rice at this point? What round does he have to be available to you before you're like, okay, it's worth the commitment?
So he dropped from I want to say quickly from wide receiver 17 and just kind of consensus ADP down to 29, at least in the high stakes world.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little slightly lower. Xavier Worthy did not much. I think he's still around 27. That feels comfortable for me. Rice, so there's a difference between what a lot of us are doing. I have 12 drafts on my screen in front of me right now ongoing. That's pretty much constant from February on.
Sure it
And
is.
so I have shares of players over the course of
Mm-hmm.
time. I never had a lot of Rashee Rice though.
Mm.
Two things. He's coming off the injury, and there was this little bit of uncertainty. It seemed like there came a point where we all decided, well, they haven't done anything. He's going to be fine. Right. And lo and behold, they were working behind the scenes in this game unbehold. So I don't have a lot of shares. He might be one of my least rostered players,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like him at his current price. I'm not a fan of uncertainty, right? I would rather is there a price point where I'm going to say, oh wow, when he gets back on the field, I'm getting crazy value here? Yes. And when he hits that point, I'll start investing. But he's not there yet as wide receiver 29 without knowing. And look, he may get the 6 games or 8 games. Maybe they give him half a season. Maybe it peels it down to 4 or something like that.
Right.
It's unknowable.
Right.
But with Jordan Addison, it's a little more knowable, right? It's 3 games. Maybe they peel it down to 2 because he pleaded down to a lesser charge than what it had been. So,
Right.
but I think everyone's banking on 3. So his wide receiver 36 ADP has not really moved based on that.
In
And
Kansas City. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I think in Minnesota, if you get a little certainty and you can build around it and mitigate whatever risk you're including in your
Mm-hmm.
roster, it makes it a little easier to do. So for me, that's why I'm a little out on Rice, because I don't know how much I need to mitigate, how much I need to invest in a player to cover me or carry me early in the
Mm-hmm.
season versus what I'm going to get at the end of the season. So if I get a little clarity on that, and I suspect now that he is, we know what's going on, but he's probably working with the league to get this all dealt with. He knows he's going to be suspended or faces suspension. Might as
Mm-hmm.
well work through it and get it taken care of, get it served, and get
Right.
it out of the way. So I think if you're in a dynasty league and someone's getting nervous about the whole situation, you're always looking to leverage these moments in that regard. But I think for redraft, for me, I could probably find other players at all the various price points that'll suit my needs until I get enough clarity on Rice to make it, or until I get so much value that I don't care about the clarity.
Of the two, Worthy versus Hollywood Brown, which of them do you think benefits the most by Rice's time off?
I don't know if either of them benefit that much more. I mean, somebody's going to get more targets. Is that going to be
Mm-hmm.
some split between Juju Smith-Schuster and other players? And I know the rookie there,
We
Jalen
don't
Royal,
care. Yeah.
Jalen Royal kind of has this similar type of archetype to Rashee
Okay.
Rice. But I don't know what it'll be. But I think Xavier Worthy has gone out there and went out towards the end of last season and demonstrated what he's capable of. And if we're to believe Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid both talking about going deeper again, remember
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes' ADOT has dropped down below 8 yards an attempt
Right.
the last 2 years. That is lane, right? And they would like to
Right.
get back. Since Tyrell left, it's diminished annually. And so I think they'd like to pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe Travis Kelce benefits a little bit with Rice out in the shorter and intermediate areas. I don't know, maybe at least gets off to a faster start. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they want him there at the end of the season. Like if he's not up to speed week 1, they're not too worried about Travis Kelce, but we are. So that would be great. But I do think Xavier Worthy, especially with his performance in the Super Bowl, was huge. But he had been trending upward. So I think where he's going at, maybe he is like a value that you're not overpaying
Mm-hmm.
for. So I do like him there. And look, it's entirely possible that maybe he establishes himself as the lead piece, at least until
Right.
Rice comes back. I do think Rice's role looks fantastic. I like everything about Rice, right?
Right.
As a player.
Yeah.
I just don't like uncertainty, and there's enough certainty around there at those price points that I can feel that I can comfortably navigate without him. If I gain that clarity, I want some of that. But in the meantime, like me, I usually take the cheaper piece. And I do have some.
Right.
I do have some shares of Hollywood Brown because he's wide receiver 50, mid 50s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got him in like round 12 in the pros versus Joes. I'm like, okay.
That sounds about right. And so, I'm not against that. I'm all for
Mm-hmm.
bargains and guys with an opportunity. And look, we didn't know what he was going to be last year. The injury happened right away, and it was a serious injury. But that's kind of been a little bit of a history. I'm injury agnostic, so I tend to ignore those things and plow forward. And the price is right, so I'll probably have some share. But I do like Rice at his cost as well.
Yeah, love that. Let's talk about the first round. Anybody in the first round, in just regular drafts, no super flex, no tight end premiums? Is there anybody that's going in the first round that you're probably not going to draft, regardless of what spot you have? Is there anybody that's really outside of your first round liking?
Probably not anyone that I'm avoiding on purpose. I feel like I don't have Puka Nakua, but that's mostly because I like Devontae Adams at cost, and I don't want to have both of them.
Yeah.
And so I'll kind of start thinking ahead. If I'm going to get Devontae Adams at the end of round 3 or early round 4, or ideally if I can get Adams at the end of round 3 and circle back around to get Mike Evans at the start of round 4 or things like that, I'm probably not going to have a lot of Puka Nakua for that reason. I think that's the only reason I might be
No, that makes sense.
Dial back on anyone in the first round. I think you can make arguments, if when you check out the magazine, the cover article is called "Who's Number One." It was written by me. There are, like most years, there's we always have a really clear cut number one. I think it's fairly clear cut this year, but you could make an argument for 4 different guys, and Jamar Chase is the one I see going the most. But I see plenty of Bijan. I see still Saquon kind of in and out of there, and Jahmyr Gibbs are the guys, and Justin Jefferson would probably be 5 if we didn't have a new quarterback. And we may be overplaying that. I'm going to get on the soapbox at some point at the Expo and remind everyone not to let quarterback situations or less than ideal quarterback situations or perceived deficits at quarterback scare you off great receivers. It doesn't work for you, people. The great receivers keep receiving greatly. Last year's Malik Neighbors would like you to know he could do it with 4 quarterbacks, all of whom pretty much suck. Brian Thomas Jr. over the last 3 weeks of the season was wide receiver 1 on a points per game basis with Mac Jones as his trigger man, people. So don't, keep that in mind as you're drafting these players. But there's a lot to like about these guys. And like one of the things that like every year we do the early panel. And we, you ask us to plant our flags. I'm thinking of my flag plant this year. The last 2 years it's been, the cheaper rookie. Not the first rookie, the second rookie. So 2 years ago, Jahmyr Gibbs maybe looked very smart. Last year, Malik Neighbors maybe looked very smart. This year, it's not going to be rookies. It's going to be some of the older players. I'm gonna be flag planting on. And why? It's because older players have established roles, and I think I'm looking for clear paths to volume. That's the primordial sludge from whence all fantasy production arises. People, they got to have opportunities, and so I do like there's like Christian McCaffrey's climbing back in. If he's healthy, the volume is going to be immense. Derrick Henry, the volume is going to be immense. People, you can't help it. CeeDee Lamb, the volume is going to be immense. So there are players like that, and maybe even Ashton Genty. But I think these rookies that get the ADP rocket strapped to their tail side, don't always work out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire would like me to know that doesn't always work out. Like, I'm not comparing those two. I think Genty's going to be fine. And I don't, I have shares of him. I think he's going about 8 overall right now on the consensus ADP. I wouldn't shy him there.
You would take him? You're good?
I'd probably go with receiver at that point.
Okay,
because I want to come around. I like the running backs available in the second round if that's the case. So, because I'd rather wait a little bit and see if somebody lets Derrick Henry slide or Christian McCaffrey, some of the backs going after him. Jonathan Taylor's a guy that I can come back around in the second round and I feel pretty comfortable. So it's more about thinking, like I'm not playing chess here, people. I'm playing like 2D checkers, but I am thinking ahead a little bit.
I like it. So are you in the Bros versus Joes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When's your draft? Right now. It's going on right now. We're in
okay. So I did mine on Sunday.
Mine's a slow draft. So.
Yours is okay.
We're just heading into the 4th round. So, yeah.
So ours was Sunday. JJ's Zach Reison's in it. Mans is in it. Todd Burrows is in it. And of course, the Joes are not Joes. These are
Todd Burrows is horrifying. Seriously, man, that guy's a player.
Yeah, no. So I had pick 9. And I literally was gasping for air. Saquon Barkley fell to me at 9. I took him.
Yeah, I think you would. I would too. Like, I think you would almost have to there. We had Barkley went 5th. Bender took Barkley 5th. Okay. I'm in with Bender, Jeff Ratcliffe.
Okay.
And some others, Cole Kelly. There's some great players in this in this group. But yeah, Bender got him at 5. Brock Bowers went at 4, which kind of you expect. Trey McBride at 10, as you kind of expect. I drafted 3rd overall, played it safe with some upside on my first pick. Took Justin Jefferson over Jahmyr Gibbs, over Barkley, just because I want that locked in volume. I remind people again about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So Justin Jefferson was wide receiver 3 2 years ago with, what was it, Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs. Who was the rookie that nobody...
Mullins? Oh, you said
no,
Mullins.
there was a rookie that was in there. It was a hodgepodge of nobodies.
Yeah,
over the course of the final 5 games. Still put up huge numbers. So I think you're putting your faith in Kevin O'Connell. But the target of that whole affair was thinking I would get George Kittle in the 2nd round with my 2nd pick, and I did. And then I came around and reached on Devontae Adams because he is a flag plant play. So I'm sitting here with 2 wide receivers and a tight end, 0 running backs at the moment. Probably will have one soon. Quarterbacks just started coming off the board in round 3. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow went as the 3rd quarterback off the board, and that's a totally defensible position for this drafter.
Yeah, so I took Barkley at 9 because I had to. Then Henry came to me in the 2nd round. I know, right? I was like, ah! So when Eric Baldwin interviewed me, because I went on the air with him, he's like, did you in your wildest dreams think, 1, Barkley was going to make it to you at 9, and 2, that Henry would be in the 2nd round? I go, no, neither. I said I was actually hoping that McCaffrey would make the turn. And when I saw McCaffrey go, I'm like, well, Henry's still available. And he was still there. And yeah. And then I did get Devontae Adams in round 3 or 4. Who's my quarterback?
Yeah, I didn't think he'd make it to 4, and I got greedy. I figured the running backs would be fine. By the way, Eric Balkman, what a treasure that man is.
Oh
He's
my gosh,
phenomenal.
I love him so much.
One of the best hosts of any show on any platform. He is fantastic. I love going on with him.
If Scott Hansen ever retires, I think they should put Balky on there for the red zone. It would just be hilarious. Especially with that lovely beard, his ZZ Top beard, and it'd be cool. Yeah. So that was a big surprise, and it sounds like it's kind of following fairly suit, but everybody's different.
These kind of things, like the Scott Fish Bowl, like I always do stupid things. I fail miserably every single year. There's a theme of this show. Bob Harris is a miserable failure, but I the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm there to give to charity, and I try to leverage the scoring system and game it because it's always that unique system, and I always go way far overboard. This year it was like volume, and so I did. I got Henry and Achane as my first 2 picks. George Kittle on the reversal, and just kept loading up on the potential volume plays. But I'll say this: where I'm not a miserable failure is in the fantasy care eliminators, where I end up doing really well. And it's because I also ridiculously overplay the scoring system. In those contests, it seems to work a little better.
Yeah. I don't do very well in those. I think maybe the farthest I ever made was like 4th out, or 4th to the end out. But,
I'm usually in it till close to the end. I've won a fair share, and also often make it down to the final 3.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about, obviously there's no such thing as a sleeper. But there is Undervalued. Who are a couple of your favorites that you like getting in those mid-late rounds, that whether you call it planting your flag or whatever, but they just seem to fall into your lap because of where they're going off the board at, and you see the value in it.
I think Mike Evans with the 40th pick overall as wide receiver 20 is ridiculously low for him. Alvin Kamara in that same, but there's a whole range of running backs I like right there, so I'll kind of pass on that. James Conner every year is a value that I'm willing to dive into, but I think let's go a little further. David Montgomery as running back 62 last year over the 14 games that he and Jahmyr Gibbs were on the field together. Jahmyr Gibbs was running back 5. David Montgomery's running back 9. Yeah. I mean, people forget how productive he is in that offense. I know there's a change of coordinator. I'm guessing that coordinator can watch film and understands how this all works.
Not screw with it.
John Morton has said he's not going to reinvent the wheel. But even in that same range, I think like DeAndre Swift, there's a lot of reasons why people don't like him. Number 1 is Ben Johnson. Oh, yeah, he traded him away in Detroit after 1 year. Well, did he trade him away or did somebody else? I don't know if Ben Johnson was actually in charge of personnel at that point, but he was calling plays. Right. But also, he's in Chicago, and I think I'm interested not for the moves they made, but for the moves they did not make. Well, the moves they did make was shoring up the offensive line. The moves they did not make were the ones we all expected we're going to get another running back.
Yeah.
I know Kyle Monange is another running back, but the draft capital does not suggest a robust role. It could happen. We know running backs it can, but Roschon Johnson's there. But it looks like Swift is in a perfect position to maybe cash in on that. But even after him, Aaron Jones is going. Like, I know Jordan Mason's there, but I also know that they paid Jones a lot of money this offseason. Like, what was it, $20 million extension? Mm-hmm. They still think he can play a little bit. And even, even when you're outside that range, I mean, there's some guys I could go with. Caleb Johnson, I think, is going to have a robust enough role. Tony Pollard, you're looking at the 6th round running backs that can probably start for you. So if you're not playing your not zero, but hero running back, I'm not as much. Right. But if you're playing your zero or hyper fragile, there's tons of guys out there that I love. I think even Brian Robinson Jr. is out there too. Right. Some of my favorite values wide receivers. Stephon Diggs going as wide receiver 41. He's going to be ready for the start of camp. He is ready for the start of camp. Might be ready for the start of the season. Even if he's not, if he misses a game or two, thinking he's going to be the most targeted receiver in that offense. The pink powder apparently works really good. He seems to be feeling good, and so I'm expecting him like every year since 2017, or he's been a wide receiver 5 or better until last year when he got injured, and he was on pace for 100 catches and 1,000 yards in Houston. I think he's a great value at the price he's going at. I love him at wide receiver. There are other ones like I'm always going to be a sucker for the Adam Thielen wide receiver 60th price range for a guy who the last 2 years has finished as a wide receiver 1 or 2 range. Mostly, there are long streaks of wide receiver 1 production. Bryce Young seems to be coming around. I know Tetairoa McMillan's there, and he's going to gobble up a lot. Maybe Xavier Legette figures out to catch the football, maybe, but it seems like there's a built-in connection there. I want to just mention some outlier guys that people aren't talking about a lot. J.K. Dobbins is a running back that, showing up in Denver when he did. After OTAs, we all thought it was going to be R.J. Harvey. Well, they got a long look at R.J. Harvey, decided to sign J.K. Dobbins. And Cecil Lammy, my colleague at Footballguys, who also covers the Broncos on a daily basis, he thinks it's a 1A, 1B, and he thinks Dobbins is the 1A. They could both have value, but Dobbins going as like running back 40 is a ridiculously cheap price off some of that. And Jerome Ford's another one that, like we all know the situation in Cleveland, even before Judkins' issues, Jerome Ford was likely to open as a starter. So if you pick someone shaky that you think is like going to get off to a slow start and you need someone to maybe cover you a few weeks, maybe Jerome Ford is a guy that can do that. So there's tons of value. Quarterback is like endless value all the way down to about 26. Like Geno Smith's quarterback 26. Like if I had to play him, I could play him. Matt Stafford down there at 24, 25. I could play them too. So I think there's a range of running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Running backs tend to dry up, but it seems like to me this year, there's that point where you get this about running back 38 where, Javonte Williams, he might be the starter. And if not, Jaden Blue's about 10 picks later, or maybe one of the Jacksonville backs that, I don't know. It's good. They're ambiguous backfields at the moment, but we may get clarity. And at the price point, it's worth throwing a dart at them. If we're throwing darts way late at players, I like the Noahs and the Browns, Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown in Washington and Jacksonville, respectively. I think those are great, like flyers. And there's tons of tight ends. Like Zach Ertz is going as tight end 22 or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. It's one of Jaden Daniels' favorite targets. I don't think he's run out of steam just yet. But there's a lot of guys like that I think are being widely overlooked. So like there's value everywhere. Like I said, I've got 12 drafts going. I have tons of those, some of those players I've mentioned just because the price is right. And again, being a cheapskate, I'm on the hunt.
I mean, like you said, it's not being cheap. It's finding value. I mean, that's how you win championships, or at least make the playoffs.
Right.
Consistency is important. I'm going to talk about consistency, but those players are usually those players that are consistent because of that volume. The Zach Ertz, those people you talk about, Stephon Diggs, blah, blah, blah. When they're on the field, they put up solid numbers. They're consistent every week. And so Mike Evans, all those guys you mentioned are all on my list.
So we always talk about this, like, building your roster construction, your overall construction. You want to have some of those steady eddies where the role is there, but you take some shots on some upside guys, maybe even overpaying a little bit early in rounds. I know, don't listen to Jeff Ratcliffe about the overpaying. I'll get a lecture. But no, reaching up a little bit, like in the drafts where you have to reach up a little bit to get some of these players that you really love. But if there's a player like that and you think it's a little risky, you can mitigate that risk. You can have risk on your roster without having a risky roster. And I think that's the key to it all. And players like that, the steady eddies, the guys with the established roles are a big key building block and all that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. Well, Bob, thank you so much for the time. I know you've got to get to your show here soon, tonight on SiriusXM. Folks, don't forget to check out Football Diehards, 8 p.m. Eastern. He's there with Mr. Mike. Yeah, what's his last name?
Dempsey.
God, why did I just went brain dumb? Like Mike.
Dempsey. Yeah. We'll have Nate Polvote will be joining us from Optimus Fantasy tonight. Also, our training camp 2-a-days started this week. So we'll be doing the Cowboys and Chiefs tonight. So we'll have beat writers from both those teams there to kind of run us through some of the top storylines and those teams. And we'll be doing that throughout the summer as we go along and taking calls and kicking ass and having all the good times that you can imagine.
I'll bet. Yeah, we got to get Dempsey to the Expo sub here.
One of these years. Well, he's usually doing the Jaguars thing, and it's hard for him
maybe
to
next year. Maybe
we'll see.
Maybe we can do that. So, all right, gentlemen, Bob, tell everybody where they can find you, all the great stuff, all your socials. You're everywhere. We all know you. We all love you.
Football Diehard on all the places, the X, the Bluesky, the Instagrams, you name it. I'm there doing some kind of nonsense. Catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday through Friday, 8 to 10, and Football Guys all the time. My On the Hot Seat show out every Tuesday. Pretty soon I'll start doing my Saturday live streams where we sit there and shoot the breeze about football. Me and a couple hundred of my closest friends. So we'll do that, and every week all my written content on Football Guys as well. So check all that out and give a visit. Check out the magazine; it's fantastic. I think you'll all
can't wait. When they mailing out the pre-orders?
As soon as they're printed, I think early in August.
Okay, I was going to say because I'm like, I'd be like, I don't have my book yet. I'm like. I thought they said August 1st was like the mail date or whatever.
I think it might be the 2nd is the mail date, but like once I'm done making it, I don't really care.
You're done. So definitely check that out. Like I said, I already pre-ordered mine. I'm hoping I get a golden ticket so I can get like lifetime subscription.
Golden ticket is nice. Golden ticket is nice. Ticket.
Come on.
12 of them in those pre-order books.
Joe, you're Joe, if you're listening, sneak one in. Be the Willy Wonka for me.
Okay. All right. Love that play.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, most importantly, you're going to see that guy in like 2.5 weeks at the Fantasy Football Expo, Canton, Ohio. And if you don't have a ticket to be there yet, what are you waiting on? Get out there. The tickets still for sale. We'll probably close them August 4th. At the door, it's going to be expensive. Don't wait for the door. Just get your ticket.
I already have mine.
Yeah, Bob had his months ago.
I did.
And he knows. He gets them early because he saves money because he's cheap, right? Remember, we said that. He already said that. All right. For Bob Harris, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching. Lock in your 2025 football tickets now at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Hit subscribe and check out one of these excellent at FF Expo videos next.